Good evening, everyone. Ari here, host for Gaia Kingdom channel. And today we have again our special guest from Sweden, Björn Lundberg. And we're going to be discussing things that you have already seen in our intro interview, a short one presentation. And we're going to go much deeper into these subjects today. Just recently, beginning of November, we had a fair day. We called it Gaia Kingdom Nature and Wellbeing Fair. Björn was one of our main guests. He's given us a wonderful speech, and also he's taken us into his daily routines of exercises, of how you build your body to a next level, to typical Gaian level, I would say. How are you today, Björn? How are you feeling?
I'm great, thank you.
Nice I have a feeling that you are always feeling great. And
no, not always. I have my ups and downs like everybody else.
Okay, well, but at least today we're in a zone, and I can see by your energy we've had this brief discussion today. So I'm very excited that we're going to hold this conversation again. So now we've touched on a new paradigm idea, and this is as immense and incredibly deep subject that it doesn't give justice just to discuss it briefly for half an hour. So we're going to be doing our best to bring up this idea time and time again for the future, because between me and Björn, we'd like to make it in more like a routine type of podcasts. We also be turning into specific people who might be interested in asking us questions and really replying to the questions you may have, as well as we're going to be organizing events and more personal meetings here in London in future. But before we roll with this, before we start, we're going to be coming back to what it means to be in the brink of new era between Pisces and Aquarius. Björn, you've told us before, but now I think we can go slightly deeper into this subject. What it means, and you've explained this, that we're not in a shift. It's not like day-to-day shift. Obviously, it's a process, and it takes time, and may take a whole generation of who knows how long. How do you see it in your eyes, the brink between those two paradigms?
I think it's good to actually just slightly change that question to if we are awakened, how we see it, toward if we're not awakened, how we see it. So for all of those already awakened, they see it clearly. We have raised our consciousness, we have awoken, and we have, there's two sides of the awakening. The first, the inner awakening, where we get in touch with our soul and spirit, and we do our journey to enlightenment, to wake up. And then we shift our ways of living and what we do to a more meaningful way of living and doing. And we start taking much better care of ourselves. We start to meditate, do yoga, become vegans. All of that is part of that inner shift. Then if we haven't started that journey yet, if we haven't awoken yet, we're still in the matrix, in the clutter, in the third dimension, with heavy energies and drama and all of that horrible heavy energy that makes us age fast, and all the sickness and diseases that are happening, we take on board of that because we can't cope with the reality. So slowly and surely, many people are either awakening in a nice way or in a harsh way, and most are awakening in a harsh way because of diseases and problems. And that kind of catapult us out of that heavy energy and into this new dimension. Actually, it's not new, it's
Oh, it's always been there.
Time. It's always been there.
Yeah.
It's just that we need to raise our own vibration, our own consciousness, to be able to tune into it and live in it in our daily lives. So it's actually the third dimension is that heavy dimension that we were born into. And when we're born into here, we're all beautiful small angels, fifth vibrational dimensional beings, and 6, 7 and higher up, that slowly we are, you know, taking on an ego and taking on all these heavy burdens and energies, and we become 3-dimensional beings and just mostly left brain focused. And it's how to release all that baggage and come into our true self again, deprogram ourselves and new programs that can raise our energy and our awareness and connect us with spirit and live in this higher realm. So we have 3 dimension, and then the fourth is time, the time dimension, the 24-hour. And then we have the 5th dimension, which is the dimension of our higher awareness, our wiser self, the spiritual realm, which is something that more and more of us are shifting into. So it's kind of an timelessness vibration, where you live from creativity and inspiration instead of time pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, it's all natural process. It's like evolution, but not in the way we normally would think of that, as we've been programmed to believe that we're basically more developed type of monkeys, which we progressively become more humanoid, and we've become more aware. Now we're becoming more maybe we have less hair or whatever. It's more to do with the like a rapid sort of jump rather than just a small step. So if you know what I mean. So basically it's to do with all the suppressed energy that we feel it's there for the for the reach, but we're not using this in a normal life, day-to-day routines, because we've been suppressing this knowledge and potential and great amount of abilities of human consciousness, of human potential, of human body as well. So I guess my question is, would I be would I be true to say that it is also an evolution, but it's more to do with the revolution?
Both. And actually to just take on what you just said there, was good what you said. It's just that to be more precise, when you say we have taken on this, I think it's important to understand the scenario of we and them, us and them, which is dividing humanity into 2 different fragments, right? The elite who runs the planet, the little pyramid on top of the pyramid, right? And then we, the masses, all the 99% of the people. I think it's important to understand that part of us, part of the we, have designed the world we live in. And there is actually a conscious spiritual war going on to dump us down, not to connect with our true self and with our spirit. So we have to, in order to do that, we have to break out of the system and come into peace and harmony within ourselves and start our spiritual journey. To start seeking and finding why we're here, what's the purpose with our lives. and connect with nature, um, establish meditation routines, and connect with higher vibrations. So, you know, to make the shift from being a meat eater to becoming vegan. Every area in life, this is a wheel. We need to take a look at every area and make the shift in every area. So there is a paradigm shift going on, which is a total big paradigm shift from the old Piscean age. This is the time zero. We started the counting time 2,000 years ahead. Here we are, and here comes the time of Aquarius meeting us up. So we are right now in this brink, but as you see my fingers, they lap over. So the time of Aquarius had its first movement back in the 60s, right? But that didn't last because it was not connected with, you know, deep roots and wisdoms. We just got a little taste of it. And now you have the other hand, the fingers that goes with the Piscean age into the time of Aquarius, which is holding on to the old system. And they still, you know, you see it out in the real world and on the news, how it's crumbling, it's falling apart. You know, every area is havoc, you know, and natural disasters, which are not natural, which is part of the military complex of how they control the weather since many, many years ago. They learned to master the weather. So part of what we actually have, the other Swedish pioneer and great light worker, Greta, little girl. However, she's not aware of that elite who runs the planet with a big agenda, and you know, of course not. You know, she's just doing the best she can with what she knows. So it's then what I'm talking about here is the outer awakening, you know, and one of the greatest teachers that I have come across over my life, he left a few years ago. His name was Wayne Dyer. And the last years of his life, he very often spoke about how big is the lie we live, you know that he was big on the GMO thing, for instance, you know, that we can't even eat organic foods, you know, that now it's everything is genetic and everything is just a big soup of problems. And we need to fix them all, you know, in order to move into this new dimension.
But it's pretty obvious when you say that, and we're pretty conscious of the fact that the amount of problem that we're facing is so big that no one with a clear mind would actually even try to have them resolved. But at the same time, we realize about this very simple truth of the universe, that the belief is the key, that the belief that to make it happen, that you can make it happen, it will make it happen. As the famous proverbs goes, that if you believe you can't and you believe you can, you're right either way. So we know that there is a lot of things that are not the right, not in the right place at the moment, but at the same time, the human potential, which is billions of people, many of them, millions of them are waking up, and millions of them are really coming up with the solutions. And we know that, right? There's so much suppressed knowledge, so much of suppressed understanding of how we can solve the issues, that I believe this not becomes just an issue of how do we solve those problems. It's more to do with how do we join together. That's the key thing, don't you think? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we've we basically have touched on certain aspects of the system crumbling apart. Now, it's become obvious to us because we observers of reality, but many of us still kind of are in the loop of this perpetual fear-mongering campaigns, propaganda, mainly done by media, which are the tool for the system to keep us still asleep or like in some sort of a state of hypnosis. It is true that you need to change the diet, you need to meditate, but first of all, I would say, please turn off the TV. And I guess that's really important thing to say, because we believe, and that can be easily proven, that the focus, our focus, is something that creates the manifesting the reality. So where the energy, when energy goes, the energy flows, and that's what we really need to make people aware. So that uh, is a good example to see what happens in China or in Thailand. Many people, many children meditating. I've heard there's schools and the whole like massive places. They take millions of people with children meditating. So how would you, Bjorn, advise on the aspect of for the, or say for the people? Let me rephrase that. For the people who are skeptical, um, what would be your word of for them in order to change their course of thinking?
Okay. Well, um, there is a saying that there is not enough um, information. There is actually, sorry, there is so overwhelmingly much information today in whatever area we wish. So that should be that it's not okay to be in skeptic anymore.
Right. Ah.
You can be a healthy skeptic, to have a healthy amount of skepticism. Of course, that's good. So you don't just buy into things without checking the source of things.
Yeah.
However, to live with a skeptical mind, you're losing big time. You're losing big time. Life is falling through your fingers because you're not in the experience of living and feeling life to its full.
Yeah.
So this is part of the shift, you know, and skeptic is not an awakened mind, because once we're awakened, we're so in tune with our feelings, you know, so we are more guided how things feel. So we can feel truth, we can feel lies. Then of course you can fact check and find out that yes, you were right. And once you have done that, you know, 100+ times, you can start to rely on your inner guidance system more and more. So the shift from the third dimension, from the system that we're born into with all the heavy energies, all the drama, wars, politics, banking, oil, all the old energies. If you are just focused there and your energy is focused there and your output is there, you talk about it, you get involved with it, it's everything you know and you live there. Well, then you are looking at a very dark future and your energy is low and you take on problems, heavy burdens on your shoulders, and it will manifest in disease in your body for more and more, as we see now. And it's so bad. So today, in most European countries, the number one cause of death for men and women up to 50 years of age is suicide. You know,
Yeah.
so it's very sad. So, and then on top of that, you have cancer and all the diseases that take people's lives way too early. And then you have all of those who keep their nose above the water, keeping things up, popping pills or doing the best they can to cope with life.
Yeah.
But nobody's really happy. They give an outside appearance maybe to be happy and everything's okay. But inside we all have a black hole. We're all emotional beings feeling that something is wrong, something is really off, right? So more and more are awakened to looking at the light, looking at the bright things. And when you do that, your energy and attention will go to that and find that, and you have that loop instead. That raise your vibration, that gives you a positive outlook of life, and you see a bright future, because there is a solution in every area to every problem. Actually multitudes, a diverse multitude of solutions to every problem. So and the money is there to fix it, and the manpower is there, the willpower is there, everything is there. It's just it's blocked from the old energies that rule the world for the moment. But we're slowly and surely seeing rebel project after rebel project, and those who are slipping through the fingers through the system that blend now the old and the new paradigm. So it's a blend time we're in right now.
Yeah. Well, it's important, I think, to understand that we're lacking, well, not you and me, and many of us can see solutions. We see beyond this. Well, the reason for us to be able to see that is that we tap into the creative part of our consciousness. But that is also done only by not giving so much value to the fear, because the fear is destroying the creative mind. The fear is destroying all the inspiration that comes from your soul. The fear will block. And that's why it's been used as a tool in order for the humanity to be kept in that low vibration. It's almost like it's a war of consciousness, like fighting for the humanity. So on which part would you be dragged in? Are you going towards the joy, compassion, love, and all the empathy that goes with the high vibration, or you keep them down and keep them in a fearful sort of mode, so they don't become aware of their true power? So they just see themselves as basically kind of sheepish slaves, for the lack of better term, which give a lot of power to the outside, not in realizing that the true power is here within. It's actually down to people like us and many other light workers, as we call ourselves, to bring the light, to bring the understanding, and to give the tools. And once you have the tools, the system will start collapsing, because the best thing they have is actually their commitment inside of the masses that they cannot do anything. Once they know they can, the game is over. That's why they really cannot lose this grip. I think from their perspective, it's really hard position they're in, to be honest, because once you know, there's this one-way street, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I've asked you this before, but I suppose it's important to remind ourselves how important it is to be connected with our body, because we know you are the person who takes care of yourself, and your body is your temple. To what degree your connection to the divine is through the fact that your body is well taken care of. That's what I wanted to ask you.
It's both 100%, and it has nothing to do with it.
I see what you're getting at. Yeah.
Well, it's just that if you're wheelchair and you are, cut off from your head down, your body's not functioning, you can still raise your consciousness and connect to the divine and connect to spirit and be in that field, that
right.
frequency. However, you're not going to have a splendid life experience that a person who is in a body in full potential, because very few has taken their bodies to its full potential. We're still, learning what that is. Yeah. So that has been my journey over most of my life, and as I've been through chapters of my life deep involved in, let's say, for instance, yoga. Whenever we're going to do something, it's important to understand why we do it and where we're heading. So always start with the end in mind. Right. So when we do yoga, for instance, we have to know what is the goal with yoga.
Yeah.
So we do yoga for that purpose,
right,
to achieve the goal as soon as possible, so we can live our life through in that energy. And that is, yoga means union. To unite with the body, actually to unite with ourselves first, right? Then connect with the body, and then spirit. So the higher energy.
Absolutely.
We become the wiser master self. When we live our life without reaching for the goals that take us to our full potential, we're kind of just down here, and we have to understand that we're actually on an evolution spiral that goes up, infinite high.
All right.
So right now we are here on the planet. We all were given a human body, which is our avatar, and this avatar has amazing possibilities, but we need to feed it right, exercise it right, clothe it right, let it sleep and rest and recuperate, and then have fun with it. Right?
And so not forget about the how you feed your mind with information.
Exactly.
Not just about the food you take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we need to go to a school for this, and we need to do that on our own time, because this is not taught in our schools today yet. But it will be the new norm in the new era.
Yeah.